Hey, what do you say? This is Boz Admin speaking out, and I am joined today with some new guests on the show. And the subject matter is what's your price for submission? I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this subject matter. It's um, it's basically we all have a price to submit to our mate. Now, what that price is, I'm not talking about physical dollars. I'm talking about basically some personalities, attributes, some value they may bring to a relationship, but we need to understand what that value is. So before we go any further, I'd like to introduce my guests. Obviously, I have Eric, who is a long time participant of the show. What's going on, E? How you doing?
How's it going, Boz? I appreciate you for having me.
Yes, yes. Thank you for showing up, my friend. And we have two new faces to the show, which is so exciting. I can't stop smiling. My cheeks are hurting. I'd like to introduce Allison. Hello, Allison. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for participating.
Oh,
And we have
anytime.
Melissa here on the show too. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Good. Hey, thank you. I'm glad you were able to show up. Now we might have a few other people joining us as the show progresses, but I definitely want to get started because time waits for nobody. So what I want to say is that what's your price for submission? All right. Let me read this verse to you guys real quick. It's from Ephesians 5, verses 22 to 24, and it's from the Bible, the NIV. That's the New International Version. It says, "Husbands, submit your." I'm sorry. Take it back. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, in which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Now, I don't claim to be a big church goer, Bible goer, but I've heard that verse through my lifetime repeated over and over and over. Now, the biggest thing there it says, "Wives, submit yourself to your husband." Doesn't say girlfriends, submit yourself to your boyfriend. It says wives. So before I go any further in the podcast, let me ask $1 million question. I'm going to start with you, Allison, because ladies first, obviously. Okay. What's your price for submission?
Well, let me tell you, I did that. I submitted to my husband for 15 years, and it absolutely got me nowhere. It got me behind in a career because I was a housewife. I stayed at home. I was there for everything he needed, for everything the kids needed. And the price is I'll never do it again.
Oh, wow.
Because when I ended up having to get that divorce, I was no better off because I fully submitted to my husband. So for me, that price doesn't exist because a relationship is a partnership. It is a 50-50 deal. The Bible was written a very, very, very long time ago, and things change. Things have to change with the times, and it is now a 50-50 partnership that I'm in. I will not remarry, and I do not have a price for submission because I will not submit.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. How about you, Melissa? Since
I
ladies
would say
first.
mine probably would be the complete opposite. So I grew up in a household where my dad did everything. That my parents had been married for 50 years, and he took care of my mom, but it was never in a demeaning way. He treated her like the queen that she was, and she submitted to him. But it was never like dominating, like a lot of people view it as. When you think of submitting, there's a negative connotation to it.
Mhm.
But if you really look at what it was there for, I do believe that we all play roles and we all have lanes. And so I was in a marriage when I was 19, was married for 14 years, and I played that role. I do believe when he told me what the title of it was, like, I don't know if it cost me anything, because it was just something that I did. It was natural to me. Um, but I have also been in situations where the man has made it difficult to submit because of how he was.
Mhm.
So I think there's two parts to that.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. What about you, Eric? I guess I shouldn't say what's your price for submission. What's your price for cooperation?
Well, I want to kind of back up a step and just kind of support the claim for Allison and Melissa. And as for a woman's perspective, what I believe, if you're submitting to your spouse, well, it should be your spouse, not just a boyfriend or someone that you're in a relationship with. You want to make sure that you're submitting to the right person, meaning by is he's faith-based. I think if we can all agree, and Boz, you did an excellent job by referencing to the Bible, is that the ultimate sacrifice for anybody's submission was Christ. So if you have someone that's your partner, your husband, that is walking the same path and living a life of Christ, of Christianity, then you're on the right steps of saying, you know what, I can submit to this man 100% because he's already, basing his lifestyle and his principles in a Christ-like way. Now, if you have a man that is not doing that or is not of that stature as of yet, then I think it's safe to say that then there's levels. You want to be able to say, you know what, whether it be 50-50, 70-30, 60-40, until you know that the person that you have chosen to submit to is walking down that path. Now, for myself, I want to be that man to make sure that I am following the greatest blueprint, which is Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian myself. And every day it is a commitment and a sacrifice to live Christ-like, so that way my mate can submit to me in the right way and we can lead in faith and in the right way.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Why does your mate have to submit to you? Why can't you be equal? Why does one have to be above the other?
That's a great question.
That's not how God intended it.
Absolutely. And I won't quote it verbatim per scripture because I don't want this topic to just be around religion. But if we use it as a template, God created Adam. We all know that. And in the course of that, he said, you know what, in the Garden of Eden, I'm going to bless him with a helpmeet, meaning a wife, a partner, which was created from the rib of Adam. So in that aspect, that means the wife is the helpmeet and the head and should be the leader because God is speaking through man, which woman is actually supporting man to follow his word and to live a good life, which we've been placed here to do. Now, kind of fast forward, we actually, end up being in sin, and then he sent his son here to save us and to forgive us for all our sins. But the thing about that is that men should be the head and not the tail. If you think about it, a woman can say she's actually strong enough mentally or physically, but never be physically stronger than a man. And you ask yourself, so in an aspect, if you're in a household and you have your husband, you're going to look for him to be the protector. If someone breaks into your home, would you want to go and confront that person?
I actually would.
Absolutely not.
And I carry a gun, and I am the protector of my children.
Absolutely.
I fought a 2.5-year court battle, okay? And I did that for the better for my children, because my children were put in a bad situation with your head of the household, okay? So right. I am the head of my household. I work, I run 2 companies, I take care of 2 kids with no support, no help whatsoever, and I am the protector and the provider. So I really do have a different opinion, because my job right now is man and woman. Yeah. So I don't, and if for some reason, some way some man could come in and change my point of view on getting married again, or whatever, I still would not put myself in a position where I am not an equal partner in everything. I will not submit to anybody, nor do I feel that is how it was meant. Things were meant to evolve and to change and to grow. And we are in 2022. God think when the Bible was written. So.
Well, here's a question I have for you, Allison. You just said a second ago that it's 50-50.
It is.
Right? As a partnership, it's 50-50. Okay. Now, not to detour too much from the subject, but all I heard was I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. That don't sound like 50-50 to me.
Well,
I'm just saying.
there is no other 50%. But what I'm hearing him say is he has a 50%. He has that other half. So he is saying that he is more capable, more stronger, and should be the head. So maybe he's 60-40. What I'm saying is I don't think that it ever should be that. Right now, for me, it's 100%. There is no other half. You know what I mean? I don't know. Obviously, Melissa talked about dating. I don't know if there's a an other half for her, but I mean,
There's not.
what makes the man more capable of protecting than the woman?
Right. Well, here's
And that's what Eric said. Eric said, "I'm going to be the one that goes and protects my family." Well,
Yes.
maybe in his family, he might be stronger than his partner, because I don't know, I've not met his partner, but that doesn't make it in every household that the man is better and more capable than the woman.
Absolutely.
Right. Well. The man. We never said the man's better. Number one, make sure he's better.
He basically just did.
Did you say the man's better? E? I don't remember. I think
The man is the head, not the tail. The man. If there is a family, if there is a man or woman, the man should be the head of the household. That's divine order. Now, the thing about that is a woman needs to make sure she has chosen the proper man for her. Now, those choices always don't work out well. And we can all attest to that. I've been married twice, but that means that first choice didn't work out the way it needs to work out. But like we all mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, if we're looking for the template, and I get what you're saying, Allison, you said those are the times, but you think about it, that's why we're in the darkest of times. Because when Christianity was written and God came here, Christ came here, he gave us the blueprint of life that we should follow. And the problem starts to come when we don't follow that blueprint.
But
we deviate from the book of the Bible. That's, you can go in any book, any chapter, and it'll give us instructions on how we should be living our life here on earth.
Have you ever written something and it been perfect the first time without improvement?
Well, here's the thing. If I've written it, that means it's never going to be perfect because I'm not a perfect being.
Well, God makes mistakes too.
Well, hold on for a second now. Hold on for a second.
We're talking about someone that is perfect.
Right. This is good. This is good. But hold on for a second.
Okay.
Experience. Well, see, here's the thing, right? Hold on now. Hold on. I love it. Here's the thing.
Good dialogue.
See, not everybody has Christian faith or Christian beliefs.
I do.
Right. Okay. So, me quoting the Bible earlier, obviously it's a belief system, and I'm with you. God didn't give Adam a partner. God gave Adam a helpmate. Mm-hmm. That I agree with. So me personally, for me, a woman has to have 5 things in order to basically to meet that criteria for me. She has to be fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, and submissive. Now, submissive doesn't mean to me you do what I say.
I think a lot of times that's the misconception and why a lot of people feel that.
It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you're gonna, I got control over you.
Right.
Not at all. Far from it.
Exactly.
Okay. Far from it. And Allison, I'm gonna challenge you on that too, because I don't believe in 50% in a relationship. Period. It's not 50-50. It's never 50-50. We want it to be, but it's not 50-50. Because let me tell you something. If you, in your relationship right now, a table has 4 legs, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you cut off your 50%, that means you have 2 of those legs at that table, will it still stand?
Maybe. Depends on if you're cutting them off on the same side or not.
Well,
but I get where you're going with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So if you're doing something 50-50, one person is not cutting off their legs without the other one cutting off their legs. You're doing it together.
Right. Exactly. And
I go to work every day. My partner would go to work every day. Does that mean that I got to come home and take care of the kids and cook the dinner and do everything while he sits on the couch?
I have a question for Alex.
It's 50-50 partnership.
I love it.
Cook dinner. We both take care of the kids. We both do things 50-50.
I
Well,
have a
here's the
question, Allison, if you
go
allow
ahead,
me to
E.
ask.
Sure.
And I'll just be really quick. So I get it because you're basing it on a tough past relationship that you're looking to move away from that bad experience. But if you think about it, if you're in a great relationship, say you have no issues, and say your significant other, whether it be a husband or your partner, there's a reduction in force. He doesn't have a job. So then there's no income. That's the other 50%. Would you leave that relationship because of something he couldn't control over losing a job?
No.
Well, then there you go. So 50% of your income has now been removed because of something he didn't control. And he's everything you would want. He respects you. You could be leading in the household and taking care of the children. But now 50% of your support financially has been removed. Would you remove yourself from the relationship?
No.
Okay.
But so you're just telling me because I lose my job, I mean that I don't have any money?
No, I'm going by what you is explaining. Everything has to be 50-50, meaning judgment, meaning finance. Well,
but if somebody loses their job, if one partner loses their job, that doesn't mean that while they're not looking for another job, they still can't give their 50%.
But where are they going to get it from?
I have money in the bank. Do you have money in the bank?
Absolutely, but you don't have. What I'm saying is, then he's not going to work, so that's not 50-50.
Well, what we're gonna do is let's get back to 50-50. This is great. This is what I want. I want challenging and heartfelt conversations. So I definitely appreciate the whole 50-50. And we'll come back to that because I got more to add to that as well. But my question to you, Allison, is this, and I'm gonna ask you too, Melissa, as well. My question is this: what does he have to be doing in order for you to submit?
There is absolutely nothing he could do for me to submit. I truly, truly, truly believe that if I am in a relationship, it is with an equal partner. One does not take priority over the other. So I will not submit and I will not let him submit to me. It is a 50-50 partnership. It goes both ways.
Okay. What about you, Melissa? Same question. What does he have to do in order for you to submit?
I'm gonna have to liken it back to my dad and just hearing the conversation. Like, I really think that a lot of times people have a misconception of what submitting is. Because in the example with my parents, my dad was never like barbaric with it. Like, you do what I say and all this and that. It was kind of a partnership. Like, if he had to make decisions or if decisions were made, they had a conversation about it. He included her. Like, it was not like, oh, this is what I say goes. I never felt that way. So when I look at submission, I can see why people look at it that way because I have been in situations where they have done it in a wrong way. But to me, being a submissive to someone is I feel protected. I feel safe. I think that's really the biggest thing for me. I know that you have my best interest at heart, but then it goes the same way. I would want him to think that too, but can I protect him? Probably not. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with knowing that there are limitations, but there are things that I can do that he can't do.
Absolutely.
So it kind of goes back both ways. So the submitting part, I feel like sometimes people put too much emphasis on it. Like, you have to submit to me. No, not really. It's just, I don't know.
Well,
am I making sense?
You're making perfect sense. I think that we take the word out of context is what we do, right? It means you're going to follow my instruction. You're going to do as I say or as I do.
Because you act like that, then absolutely not. Like, I'm with Allison. Like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do while your ass is sitting on the couch doing nothing.
Right.
Like, if you don't have a job, I understand that. And you may not even have any money. But when I come home, why am I required to cook and clean when you've been home all day?
Right. And see, you both have excellent points. We're gonna tackle both of those areas because I think, to me, submission is a noun, right? It is a noun, right? It's a voluntary action or fact of accepting or yielding to a superior force or to the will of authority of another person, being humble or obedient. That's what submission is. That's Webster's definition of submission.
And I look at it also, you can't have two drivers.
Right. There you go.
Even in jobs, you submit. we submit to something all the time. There is
You have to have
never
order.
like it
Right.
just depends on what you're going to submit to. We all have that choice.
Well,
Yeah.
I never heard of two main pilots or two captains of a boat, or you have a pilot and a co-pilot, right?
Right.
Of a plane. You got a captain and a co-captain. You got the, the captain and the first mate. I'm just saying of a ship. I've never heard of it being two people. Somebody's in charge. It's got to be.
Yeah,
It's got to be.
absolutely.
In our company, we have a CEO, CIO, and on down the line, boom, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom, boom. Then there's me right here, right?
Yep. You have the work
So,
time. Yeah.
exactly. So we have a order of operation of a structure that we have to follow. And I'm not saying that, I'm just maybe a bad example, but what I'm simply saying is that I said it earlier in Ephesians, it said, wives, submit to your husbands. It doesn't say girlfriends, doesn't say fiancés. It doesn't say, live-ins. It says wives, right? So the next thing I want to jump into real quick is that, do you believe women should submit to someone they're in a serious long-term dating relationship? Do you believe that? Melissa, I'll start with you first. Do you believe that women should submit to someone who's in a serious long-term, keyword, long-term dating relationship?
It would have to be extremely long term. Like we would have had to have conversations like we're in this, but we're not married. Because I've been married twice. Do I want to get married again? I don't know about all that. But do I want to be in a relationship? Absolutely. But I don't know if marriage is what I want. But do I want components of that? Yes.
Okay. And so you and Allison are both, because she ain't trying to get here no marriage either, right?
No.
Allison ain't trying to go that route either. Now,
I don't need a piece of paper to tell me what somebody feels about me.
I said my next marriage is gonna be an LLC. We about to make this a business.
There you go. It's a business thing.
Man, that's what we doing.
So Allison, I can safely say that the question that I've asked is that the answer is no. You do not believe.
No, and I'm in a long-term relationship, and I just moved across the country with him 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but no, we are a 50-50 partnership. There is not one ahead of the other. This isn't a business, a relationship, your home. It's not a business. There is no captain and co-captain. It is a partnership, which means 50-50.
Okay. I mean, we can agree to disagree, because I've been married to my wife for 13 years, and this is my third marriage. Okay. So I've been there, done that already,
Oh, wow. I was like, do I want to have a third one?
And I had
the same. People actually have third marriages?
And I had the same philosophy. I got married at 19, 20 years old. I was a kid. Yep. Right. And then, of course, things didn't work out. Got divorced 25, got remarried again at 27, because I was in love with the idea, not the person. Yeah. That lasted until I was like 29 and cut that, right? But at the same token, I found my life partner who I am with today, right? So you know what? E, what do you
just
think?
Called her your partner.
My life partner, yes.
Right, you called her your partner, not your co-captain. You called her your partner.
Yes,
your partner.
Right. I called her.
A partner does not mean one above the other. So you just said it yourself. Your life partner.
Right. My life partner. Right. My life partner. Absolutely. She's my life partner. Love her to death. Honey, if you're listening, my disclaimer, I love you. And that's it. But I'm simply saying she's my life partner, but we don't have a partnership.
Yeah, see.
I'm just saying, to each his own, right? Because she is my helpmate. Right. And she's a faith-based woman as well. So she's right there with Eric, and she understands, and she'll quote me a scripture out the Bible or two or something. And believe it or not, she's financially does better than I do, but she knows we all have roles. I can't say she knows her role, because I know my role. Right. And it's not a put down at all. No, it's not a put down. She knows she's my right hand and I'm her left. So then the day, yes, it's my life partner, but we don't have a partnership. That's just my definition. But E, what do you think? Do you think that someone who's not in a relationship or who's not in a long-term relationship should submit to their person they're dating?
In my opinion, I don't believe that they need to. For one, I'm going to, kind of peel it back to, we can create as human beings whatever relationship or whatever we believe to make it feel comfortable for us. But if we go back to the beginning and to what's written and what we should be doing, you won't be blessed that way. I don't see anything or read anything in the Bible where God was blessing people that just lived together. They had to be married. That's where your blessing comes in at. So now, if you choose to live a life and not have to worry, or you don't have a faith base, then it doesn't matter to that individual because you're not looking for the ultimate goal of being blessed. Because that's where the blessing comes in the union of being married, and it's all our choices. It's just a choice, and people have to understand that they're making these choices, and at the end of the day, we all have to answer for those choices. And it's not by any human being. It's if you have a faith base, you answer to the man upstairs. And that's a discussion and a conversation between you and him.
And I would say I disagree with that. If we choose to not be in a marriage, that we're not going to be blessed.
I don't see. Tell me, and maybe that's for another podcast or a discussion. But there's nothing in the Bible saying that there was a union outside of marriage that was blessed by Christ.
Well, once again, E, and just not to so much challenge, we have to remember now. Although I quoted Ephesians, 5:25, I'm sorry, 5:22 and 24.
Right.
We have to be respectful of other people's belief systems.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why I said it's a choice. It's a choice.
And I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, so I was strict Bible. So I get what you're saying, but I still believe
you was passing out watchtowers and going to door to door.
Sure was. I sure the hell was. I thought I went to your door.
You was the one we had to duck down. Like, don't answer it.
And there's nothing wrong with that, Melissa. But here's the thing that I just want us to understand. We're having an open dialogue of adults, and he asked me my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's just my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I think my dad told me opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. So that was something my father told us many moons ago.
That is true.
Yeah, exactly. So let me tell you why. Now I agree with all of you. I believe that the answer is no in that space. I agree with you. So see, Allison, we hear on that one. The answer is no. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, and this kind of goes back to what you said too as well. Okay, the answer is no. And before I go into this, I want to welcome Latanya to the podcast. Hello, Latanya. How you doing? You're on mute, and your network connection is frozen. And I think I'm on. Okay, so folks, Latanya, I think you're on mute. Can you hear
me? I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
It says that Yeah, I hear you.
We can hear you now too.
I hear you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Latanya has joined the podcast. She's calling all the way from the dirty South, so she's down there in Louisiana. So we got folks all over the place. We got folks in Florida. We got folks in Colorado. We got Indianapolis in the house. Hey. And now we got Louisiana. So we got folks from all over, which is the reason why we added different folks to this, because we want to get different perspectives, right? So, Latanya, before I go any further, let me ask you the question I've asked everybody else. What's your price for submission, first of all? What is your price for submission?
Oh, wow. My price for submission is very high. It's called leadership. So that is very expensive to me. If you cannot lead me, I cannot submit to you. And depending on where you're leading me, I may not want to submit to you. So my price for submission has to do with leadership as far as me fully complying. And I don't want to say everybody fully complies, but y'all know what I mean. As far as, being the yes woman or okay baby or something. But, my price for submission has to do with leadership and accountability, which is a price some people are just not willing to pay. So, but that's what it is for me.
Okay. Gotcha. Remember now, the price for submission is not always a dollar figure, right? So I want to make sure
Yeah.
that because some people it is, some people he has to make a certain amount of money, and I will do whatever he says or whatever she says. So I want to make sure that I'm clear to the listeners out there that we're not talking about a financial dollar figure. We're talking about basically, what attributes does this he or she have to have in order for you to believe, to have a price for submission. And some folks some folks have no price, no matter how much money the person is making, no matter how much he's the priest, the provider, the protector. There is no price for submission. So we just asked a question to our guest panel here, and basically said, do you believe that women should submit to someone whom they are in a serious long-term dating relationship with? Why or why not? Latanya, I'm looking for you to answer that question.
Oh, you want me to answer? Okay.
Yeah, because we already asked these questions. Everybody else gave us their professional
Okay. Wait.
responses.
So the question is, do I believe that women who are dating in a long-term relationship, should they be submissive to the man?
That's correct.
Well, first of all, I need to know what your definition of submission is. Define submission for me so I can answer according to what has been discussed on the podcast.
Well, I tell you, there they go. That just kind of
Because y'all already know that I'm not,
you being obedient. That's what it is.
well, you can be obedient.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I don't mean that. Let me retract that statement.
I am not obedient. No, I'm just kidding.
Submission.
Me either.
Yeah. Okay. Submission is being cooperative. Being, cooperation. Peaceful. Encouraging.
Yeah, well, and in that manner, when it comes to being submissive in a long-term relationship, I think that those things can be accomplished. I think you can be peaceful. I think you can be, encouraging and comforting and supportive, in a positive manner versus, he can't tell me what to do. I really think it depends on the foundation of your relationship. I think that if you're building a relationship to form a partnership where you want to be together, get married or whatever, then you can be in a relationship for a certain amount of time and be submissive. But if a woman is in a relationship where she's just, running here and there with, whoever, then that's just not going to cut it. It's not. But you can be in a long-term relationship and be submissive.
Baz, the definition that you just gave her for submissive is human decency. Who is not loving and supporting of their friends, their family, their mates? That's not submissive. Submissive is bowing down and doing what you're told.
Well,
that just being loving and supporting, that's human decency.
Well, once again, the goal, the big thing, the biggest thing here was dating, long-term dating relationship, right? So I understand, that, I understand what you said, Allison. I'm not challenging that, right? It is being
no, but I'm saying you would do that to your neighbor. You would be loving and supporting to your neighbor. That's human decency.
Right.
That's not what your price is for submission, for whether it's a relationship or a long-term relationship or your husband. The definition you just gave her is kindness. It's what the world should be.
That's what it should be, but that's not what it is for everybody, right? That's what it should be. That's what it should be.
That's what it should be.
But like I said prior to that, everybody has a price, right? Everybody has a price for submission, right? Because I guarantee you, and this goes for and I'm going to put myself out there.
Your price is for submission. Your price isn't for supporting somebody. What you just told her the definition was.
Well, what I told her was my interpretation. The definition of submission is voluntary action or fact of accepting, yielding to a superior force or authority to another person. That's the definition, being humble or obedient. That's the definition of submission. My definition of submission, or my interpretation of submission, is much different than what the dictionary states, right?
Yeah.
And so, like Melissa said earlier, people have misinterpretations of submission. They think, I'm gonna do what you say. That's not what it is, right? It's cooperation, basically, right? You're being cooperative. You're being peaceful. Okay, you're not bringing any havoc or headache or shit to the household, right? So that's what I mean when I said that to Latanya. I was referring to that terminology, not to the actual Webster definition version. So, and I'm going to tell you why, Latanya, I disagree with you on the being submissive to your fiance or person, long-term person you're dating. Looks like she frozen a little bit, but we're going to continue. Your submission belongs to God first. That's number one. If you're unmarried, that's the only authority you got to submit to. That's the only person you trust completely. I'm not even a person. That's the only supreme being, the only deity you trust completely. If you're going to be submissive to someone, that means you trust that person unconditionally. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, if you're going to submit to something, I have to trust that you're not going to walk me down a dark alley.
Yeah, exactly. Number two, it changes mindsets. When you submit to your boyfriend or person, your fiance, you're giving the mindset that he has power over you. You do. And that may not be his intention. And I've seen this stuff hundreds of times. I've seen it out here with these young kids on Instagram. I've seen it with folks, I got 8 girls. And I've seen them just like, what in the hell are you doing with this young man? Well, I'm going to keep his child because he has to go over here. Whoa, time out. Where the baby mama at? What are you doing from this picture? Well, he asked me, and he going to take me out to dinner because of it. What the fuck? Part of my language, but I'm just saying. Really? And I've seen it with young girls showing their ass on Instagram, on social media, because they're submitting to the world. They have nothing. There's nothing else for them to what's that? To show their mate, their husband. You give it to everybody else.
Yeah, and I agree with Allison. Like, if submission is you're telling me what to do and I have to bow down to you, absolutely not.
That's not.
But I don't think that's what submission is.
That's correct.
But that's what the world has portrayed it as.
And that is what the definition is. You
right.
must
well,
obey. That
obey
is
doesn't necessarily mean to bow down. It's just to be, like you said, to be yielding to a situation.
Right.
Now, I am very independent. I am very strong-minded, and my mother is too. And just watching how my dad, like, there will be times when he kind of just wouldn't say anything, or they had this. I was always laugh because he would have this way where if my mom would get a little too much, he would look at her, and they had this connection where she was like, "All right, I done went too far,"
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like a balancing act. I feel like
that's what I do. I'll look at my wife and be like, "Hey," and then she'll throw a pot.
Women are emotional.
She'll throw a pot at me or something.
Women are emotional, and there's times when we can get a little out of pocket. I know I can because I'm on my period or hormones, and I don't know. I want to kill everybody in the house, and so I need that masculine, that men to kind of tone that energy down.
Mm-hmm.
That balance.
That Teddy Pendergrass voice, woman. You got what I need. Yeah.
But again, it's all in how you do it. If you're doing it in a loving way and she knows that you love and care for her, then there's no second thought. Exactly. But unfortunately, 90% of men out here nowadays do not display those qualities.
No, because number one, they're beta men. And I'm gonna get to that. That's not really on this podcast. Because in a household, you can't have 2 alphas. Bottom line, there's only 1 alpha in the household. But we'll talk about that. Let me get to number 3.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. It takes away from long-term commitments. If you give everything you're dating in the relationship to somebody you're dating in a relationship, what else you got to give in the marriage?
I agree with that.
if you give him everything,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
else
Like
are you
if
gonna
you want me
give?
to put on a show and do go lingerie, then when I get a husband, where does that leave for that person?
Yeah,
Like there
you
should be certain things that no, unless we're in a long term relationship, you don't get access to that.
if you want me butt naked in a bow tie with a bean pie,
Right.
I can't do that.
If you want me swinging on a
We gotta be
pole,
married.
we need to have a conversation.
Yeah, we gotta be married.
Both
Exactly.
parties need to know each one of them are capable.
Exactly.
It's an investment.
Number
Right.
4, it creates regrets. Okay, it's like buyer's remorse,
Mm,
right? When you meet somebody, and I'm sure a lot of us have done this when we've gotten married or prior to that, we meet the person's representative.
hmm
We don't meet the person. We find out that after the fact, right? So whether it comes cooking or cleaning or performing sexual acts or loaning money, even sacrificing yourself to prove you're worthy of being with that person. How many folks have let God people run their credit up, right?
Yeah,
Or
they
bought
do.
cars and people didn't pay for them because they
Which
lived
does
in love.
75% of the world, since that's one of my businesses.
Well, thank you, Allison, for chiming in. We appreciate that. Yes, yes, yes. But I'm just saying, it happens, right? Because we
I
think
see it
we're
every
in
day.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really sad, you know. And last but not least, it's a husband and wife covenant, right? So submissive roles are designed for a husband and wife. Bottom line, that's it. That's it. So, any comments, feedback on what on those 5 bullet points I just shared? If
No, I
not,
agree.
I'm gonna go to the $1,000,000 question. Okay, and Allison, this is for you. I've
Oh,
been
Lord.
waiting to ask you, like, we just picking on me. No, I'm just asking a
You are
question.
picking on me today.
No,
No,
you know
Allison,
what
you're
though?
not
Let me
being
tell you
picked
something.
on.
I appreciate you because you are coming with your guns loaded and you just found out about the subject and you're just like responding. And I can appreciate I appreciate the
And I
honesty.
just feel like Eric said, like, I'm coming from a point of a bad relationship.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not.
exactly.
I'm not. It's over. It's been over. I mean, it's been over for 5 years. We had a great marriage up until PTSD kicked in and things went in a dangerous situation for my children. And that's all I'll say on a podcast. But it is, it is not. I'm not coming from a place of that. I was a very submissive wife um, for 16 years. Um,
Mhm.
so it has nothing to do with that. It's coming from a place of that being submissive and now being out of submission, let's just say, because I'm me just by myself. But that's where it comes from. It doesn't come from negativity of a bad marriage. It came from what being submissive did for me for 16 years.
Mhm.
It put me in a situation that I was behind the 8 ball with 2 children when I didn't have a partner anymore. I
Sure.
didn't. I was that good. Dinner on the table, 5 o'clock. Leave it to Beaver Cleaver's wife. Whatever that show was. It's so. It just comes from what that taught me, what that put me behind the 8 ball as a human being
Right.
did.
So you're
Not
basing
because some man was a jerk. It doesn't come from that. It comes from the experience that was learned from that.
And I
well.
get that too. So when I had my daughter, I stayed home. So I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years. I had a career before that, so I put that to the side. And when I left her dad, I had to completely start over again.
I was a military wife staying home
Yeah.
from 19 years old.
And
Wow.
I had to, with you, like there's things that I won't do. Like I'll have my own separate bank account. I will have certain things that I'm going to have in place. But for me, that doesn't mean that I don't have to be submissive. That is just me protecting myself.
Gotcha. No, so basically, what I'm hearing from both of you is experience is the best teacher.
Yeah,
That's what I
life
just heard.
experience.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Which is fine, and I have the utmost respect for both of your responses. So thank you for sharing that. But what is a submissive wife then? What does that look like? Right. Is it that Eddie Murphy coming to America? Jump on one leg. Is that it? You know what I mean?
If that's good, then I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
So I
From
mean,
the beginning, both you and Eric have quoted the Bible. Okay.
yes,
So when you put the question, what is your price for submission in a relationship? It is the Eddie Murphy, stand on one leg and jump. Okay. Now, if you guys weren't sitting here quoting the Bible, right, and you just said something different, it would be viewed as something different, because anybody who knows the Bible inside and out, which I'm assuming both of you do, every different part says a little something about, do what the man says. The man is right. The woman is, your co-captain, as you guys, suggested. So when you start off a podcast and you're quoting the Bible like that, then yeah, that question is led to be believed into doing everything the man says. And it's a different context when you don't start off reading a Bible verse and you're just having a dialogue and having a question.
no,
It's perceived two different ways, just like the definition of submission.
Sure.
It can be perceived Webster's dictionary, or it can be perceived like you described it to the other lady, where it's loving and it's caring, and you know what I mean?
Right. It is. I mean, here's the thing. It's interpretation is what it comes down to at the end of the day. Right. So regardless to what, we may joke around and say, or whatever the Bible says, not everybody's a Christian. My background is Islam. Okay. And in Islam, believe it or not, the woman should walk 2 steps behind the man as he's walking down the street. And she should have a hijab on, and only he should see her face and see her hair. Now, every religious, that's why I quote the Bible, because the majority of individuals in this virtual world are Christians, or they believe in the God. What was it, Eric? The Holy Ghost, the 3 deities,
Holy Trinity.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, yes, I started with that, but I'm not married to that comment, because that is just a standard comment, or shall I say Bible verse that most of us are familiar with.
And I understand that, but Melissa, when he started out the conversation that way, is that now not your perception of submission?
I would say no, because I grew up in the Bible, so I remember, and because my mother was very strong-minded too, and so there will be times when she would say, my dad's name is Steve. Steve, remember the Bible said you got to listen to your wife. So he threw, so in some instances, it's a balancing act. So when I think of submission, I do not think of jumping on one foot. You got me fucked up. Like, hopefully I can say that, no, that will never happen. But if you're leading me, again, like the other, it's all about leadership. There has to be a leader in every pack. But it depends on how you lead. Some, again, have more experience at things than others. And men were created first, so they're going to naturally be stronger in areas than we are. I'm good with that. Like, I know I don't want to have to do plumbing. I don't want to have to go out. I don't want to do those things. And growing up, my dad didn't let me cut grass. He didn't let me take the trash out. Or my mom, he said, that's your brother's job.
Right. And excuse me, and I get that, right? Because I took out the trash.
Brothers. So those jobs were daughter jobs.
No, absolutely. I have a daughter
owning a construction company and a custom cabinet shop. I can fix a toilet better than my other half right now.
I can too. I get that, because I have a daughter. She's 17. I'm single. I live by myself. So there's a lot of stuff that I have to do. But if I was given a choice, I want the man to do it because that's how I was raised.
I'll give you an example. He had a flat tire the other day. He was going to call AAA. My daughter and I went down and changed it.
I'm not changing the tire either. I'm
Go
waving
get him,
somebody
Allison.
down.
Go get him. Go get him. I know that's right. I know that's right. Well, see, here's the thing, right? So basically, and I'm gonna quote another. He who finds
But
a
with
wife,
that same thing, don't tell me what to do because we're gonna have a problem.
he
So
who
it's
finds a
gonna.
wife finds a good thing. It's because men control relationships, women control sex. That's what
I've
it
heard
comes
that
down to.
before.
Exactly. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I've heard. I don't know how much I agree with it, but I've heard that before.
Because you can't give your body up unwillingly.
Right.
Right? Exactly.
Neither can the man.
Well, that's true, but men control relationships because you can't be in a relationship by yourself. He has to agree to the terms of your relationship. We're gonna be dedicated. We're gonna be together. We're gonna live together. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be you and me. That's what it is. And he has to say, okay, babe. So men control that because if you said no, then you wouldn't be in a relationship with him. Period.
But what if I said no? Then he wouldn't be in a relationship.
Well, once again,
It all comes down to negotiation. You can say, okay, well, we can be in a relationship, but you can't sleep in my bed, right? At night, you got to go sleep in the guest bedroom, right?
well, I don't know
Well, that could be
anybody who
your
will go for
rule,
that.
but that doesn't mean I have to agree to it. That doesn't mean that it's all your rules or all my rules set out per the relationship.
I understand what you're saying.
Again, it comes into blending a 50-50 partnership. 50% is what you want, and 50% is what I want. And you have to bend and live and learn to live together.
Well, on that
You
note,
have to
Allison,
compromise, and they have to be balance and trust.
Right. I
yes,
agree with Eric. He said it better than I did.
yes. And on that note, we're going to agree to disagree because I don't believe in 50% relationships. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to me at all. I'm sorry, but I do want to say this. How do you fully submit to your mate, your husband? Now, here are some, we kind of talked about this a little bit. I got 10 bullet points and you guys give me a yay or nay and just say, okay, or ask about if it makes sense or not. Number one, let him lead. Yes.
If he's a good leader, and depends on what he's leading.
If you're with this man, okay, hold on for a second. Let me back up a little bit. Okay. So when you get in a relationship with somebody, don't you like vet them out? Don't you do like
Well,
research?
no, absolutely. So if he's been vetted and he's passed all the tests and he's done a background check, all of that.
Credit check.
I done
Credit
credit
report
I
full.
checked his credit.
I'm just saying, don't you?
Then
before
yes,
you
I have
commit
no
to
problem
someone,
with him leading me. I have no problem with it.
doesn't he
Beth,
have
you
to-
said you've been married for 15 years.
I was married for 15 years, 14, and then divorced, then
Okay,
remarried.
but you're dating now, right, Melissa?
Yeah, that's what you want to call it.
Eric, you're married. Eric, you're married,
Yes.
and Baz, you're married, right?
Yes, I am.
How long have you guys been married? This last round.
I've been married for officially 13 years, June 27th.
Eric, how long?
17 years.
Okay, great. You haven't been in the dating world in a very, 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 very long time. So let me tell you something, because Melissa can probably attest to this. I don't care how well you vet them, people lie. People lie and they pretend to be something they're not for a very long time.
Mhm.
So when you bring it back to that question, I mean, Melissa's right. It depends on where they're leading, because I mean, I've had people tell me, oh, hey, I'm going to marry you and I love you and blah, blah, blah. And they're dating 7 other people at the same time.
Yeah.
Because this world is absolutely crazy. So if you haven't been in the dating world in 13 and 17 years, then God bless you, because it's crazy. It is absolutely the most horrible thing, and I don't wish it upon anybody.
Well, and I respect
You are
response.
at the mercy of how good somebody can type their story.
Like I saw somebody post something that I think somebody peed in the dating pool.
Mike, who did what?
Somebody peed in the dating pool. That's how dating is.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
it that? Is it? Hold on. Is it really that bad?
Wow.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. And I feel like it is because people aren't being their authentic self. You know, they're just, again, they're representative. But it also goes back to the person that is dating. We have to be aware and not go too far before we see red flags. If we
I'll,
see
You
red
got to
flags,
ask
we
a
need to
lot of
abort
questions,
mission.
a lot of the right questions.
I'll give you an example. Okay, get over the divorce, start dating. Right, date a guy for a year and a half. He's literally dating 7 other women at the same time.
Wow.
Proposed to one 2 weeks after I found out. Okay, then try to get over that one. So get back on the dating sites. You go to the next one. The pandemic hits. Right. So during the pandemic, we were talking. You don't really meet because we were in pure lockdown. He moved in with another girl.
Oh, wow.
All right. So then you move on to the next one to try to get over that one, right? Time has passed, but I'm just saying you're back in the dating field again. Guy tells you, "Oh, I'm going to give you my all. I believe in this, blah, 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 blah." You go on a little work trip to DC, and while you're presenting, he's typing to you on Facebook saying, "I'm getting back together with my ex." It's crazy. Absolutely, absolutely crazy. And they're all like that. I can tell you a million women's stories that are almost exactly like that. And I'm sure Melissa can testify. They're crazy.
Yeah, it is bad out there.
Wow.
But you have to have standards, and you have to be stuck on those and not be yielding to it. Be like, no, I'm not going to accept that. And that's very hard because
and it's sad to hear on the male's perspective from you women that they don't have any morals. They don't like you've talked about your dad, Melissa, very well. So where are all those guys that can learn from someone like your dad? And even my dad, I'm thinking, if men had that basic principle of structure to have and foster a proper relationship, then it wouldn't be this whole horrible story that you guys are sharing right now.
It
but
is
on the flip side,
I've seen men with the crazy women too. So I'm not man bashing here. It's crazy dating pool.
Yeah,
I can only testify to my experience of man dating.
Well,
yeah, but I mean, I get you, and the thing about it goes back to what Boz said. Men control the relationship. So if we didn't have a lot of men that didn't know how to properly court a woman or control the relationship, you won't have a lot of bashing women out there.
Well, see, and also too, it goes back to the beta men, betas.
Okay,
right?
All right. Hang on, I gotta stop him right now. But Eric, you said the man has to rule and to lead. Why can't the woman teach the man how she wants to be treated, how she wants to be courted, how she wants to be? Why does it automatically just have to be the man leads? Why can't the woman lead the man?
Because a woman can tell a man how she wants to be treated and what her expectation is, but the woman, you're asking for that man to lead. A woman can't teach a man to lead.
A woman can't raise a man.
Right.
Either.
She can raise a child and a boy, but a woman can't raise and teach a man how to be a man.
How to be a man.
You just can't.
I beg to differ because I'm teaching my son to be a pretty darn good man.
You're teaching your son, but when he becomes a man, you'll have that conversation when you say, "You know what, Mom, I love you. I'm not going to do this." He's going to stand up and really tell you how he feels when that manhood comes out of him. Now, I'm not saying women,
and it's not saying you're not doing a bad job. You're probably doing a great job.
You're doing an excellent. My mom raised me as a single mother for a long period of time, but she couldn't teach me how to be a man. She couldn't.
Can't teach me how to.
What defines the role as you being a man?
Having leadership, meaning saying, you know what, I listen to my helpmeet.
Being the priest,
to my wife, and I take those feelings and those considerations and all that advice and that support into consideration. And she looks for me to lead the household.
Baz, I'm the provider of this household. So you just said being the provider. I pull in 4 times more income.
Well, you asked me the question for how does that apply to me? But if you're not,
I know, but then he said being a man is
being
is
the priest,
leadership and
being the provider, and being the
provider
protector.
and
Okay. So what I'm simply saying there is that in the past, a lot of relationships, and of course, and I don't know anything about you guys' history with whoever you've been with, but at the same time, people can only do what you allow them to do, right? So although you've dated men in the past, and they wind up being shit, let's call it what it is,
Mhm.
right? Exactly. Those men were betas. Okay. An alpha man is the priest, the provider, and the protector. And so what happens is it's a vicious cycle that goes through because some of these men aren't raised by men, right? And so what happens? They don't know how to be a man. So it repeats itself to the next one. And when they have kids and not there for their children, then these young kids grow up and they don't know how to be a man. It's a vicious cycle because any man, any real man that is, would have been like, Allison, listen, I think we're great. I think we know, but right now I'm not really feeling this relationship. So you have the choice to decide if you want to stay or go. And that's out of respect for you. Same thing for you, Melissa. If you're dating me, for example, and I'm gonna say, hey, listen, we're having a great time. You like with Jamil, I'm crazy about you, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's cool. I said, but you know what? I'm really gonna date other people. So you have the ability right now. But before I start doing that, I'm going to tell you so you can make the sound decision to say, screw it. I like him too much. I'm going to stay in it, or go to hell. I'll see you in the next life.
Right.
Right. So basically that's the priest side of it. Right. So you have to have all these components for priest, provider, and protector in order to call yourself an alpha man. A lot of men out here are betas. Let's call it what it is. That's exactly what it is. I don't care if you're black, white, red, green, brown, blue, yellow. That's what it is. Because you know why? They never had men in the household raising them and teaching them how to be a man. Period. So it rubs off. And guess who's impacted? Guess who's affected? Women like yourselves, because you didn't ask for this, right? If that man was doing right in your marriage, Melissa, you would have stayed with him. If that man was doing right in your marriage, Allison, you probably still be married today. If he was doing right. If, big I, if, right? But he wasn't. So you said, screw this. I got to be the breadwinner. I got to protect my kids. I got to make sure I got income. I got to make sure I take care of them. I don't know what he's doing with child support. That's none of my business anyway. But I'm just saying, I got to make sure that they are taken care of because he's not doing his job. He's a beta fucking man. Bottom line. And so we got to teach our women to stop dealing with betas. Period. I got 8 girls. Trust and believe. If I can't be an example for them, who can? Bottom line. So I get it. Trust me, I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm pray to God that none of these ladies that I have, my children that is, wind up with these betas. But we're going to wrap it up here. I got one more question. Should a husband submit to his wife? I didn't get through my 10 things. That's okay. We can revisit that. It might be a part 2 because I really enjoyed you guys both being on the podcast. It's a great conversation. This is really good. My heart's jumping. I'm feeling pretty good about this. All right. Should a husband submit to his wife? Eric, answer the question. Should a husband submit to his wife?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa.
Yes.
Allison.
no.
You gotta love Allison. She gonna stick to her.
I know, right?
guns.
I know. I love it. I love it.
50-50, guys. Nobody submits to the other. 50-50.
All right.
You gotta take Allison to Vegas.
And
She's
you know what,
50-50.
Allison?
She got-
Check it out.
she gonna
You
win with
and
50-50.
I agree to this. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you why we agree. Submission from a man to his wife means he submits to his wife the need to be loved. And he has respect for her. But like you said, 50-50, right? That's what you said. That's
Yeah.
mutual, correct?
Yeah.
And submission, here's the real definition behind submission for me. This is the real definition. Submission is a sign of strength, not weakness. It requires character It does. But it's only should be practiced in marriage. Because if you've made that commitment to jump over the broom to say I do or whatever it is, your belief system, mazel tov, step on the glass, whatever, then you have made a commitment to be submissive somewhat to each other. Right?
And I'll step in and say this, Boz, if I may. And the reason I say that, because if you think about it, you said it perfectly within a marriage. And I've had some things in my 17 years of marriage where I yielded to my wife. And the thing about that, it was out of respect, because we could have, she's very strong-minded, she's very successful, runs her own business, but it also gives the balance and stability within our relationship. And just like, you said, Melissa, you was like, I know how to, fix a toilet or do different things. But if I got my husband, I would rather him do it. And my wife's the same way. She's not going to challenge me or fight with me. Baby, I know how to, change a tire. I'd rather do it than you do it. No, she's going to allow me to do that. And just in closing, when I say yield to my wife, is meaning that she helps balance me out to give me clarity, to make those decisions, to lead the household. Because we're not always right. I may feel strongly about something. She's like, babe, listen, we can't do this, or you shouldn't do that. And then I'll take a moment and think about it. And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. The voice of reason, you're right. We'll do it this way. And then she supports that. So that's what I mean by saying, yes, I submit to my wife, because we submit to being, practical, having balance. She trusts me and I trust her, but she's going to allow me to lead.
I think, E, in so many words, she helps you navigate, right? She helps you navigate
when needed. Yeah.
Yeah, when needed, right? Because so you're still the leader, right?
Absolutely.
Every once in a while, we as men would need a navigator to keep our ass on course, right? This is no different than driving. Thank God for Google Maps now, right? Remember back in the day, was it MapQuest? We all can relate, right? No, you should get off at exit 3. No, I'm going straight. You wind up lost. But you were the driver, E, and she was over on the passenger side as the navigator. She kept you all to get to your destination.
The co-pilot.
So, and that's not necessarily, that's being submissive, but it's being cooperative. It's mutual respect for each other, because you're driving, she's navigating, y'all working together. And I guess, Allison, in that case, it is 50-50, huh? So,
Yeah. I guess the definition of 50-50 can be interpreted in a different way as well.
Yes. See, we've come together, and this is a great podcast. And I want to thank you all so much for joining tonight here in July on our 57th episode. So thank you, Allison.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And I'm Boz. And you can reach our podcast on Apple, Google Play, iHeartRadio, the whole nine, and especially via subscribe to our YouTube channel. And once again, this is actually part 1. I'm gonna do a part 2. Now that you guys have kind of warmed up to the show, I would appreciate, I'm gonna call you back, because we got a lot more to talk about, right? And I think the $1 million question is, one of the $1 million questions I have for the next show is that, got it right here in my notes. Should a man be able to cheat or have exercise his options if he's not getting what he's getting at home? That damn Jamil, that damn. But see, I create the subjects to make us think and talk, to make us, to have dialogue. So trust and believe. The subject matter that I put on this show is not always what I so much believe, but it is to make us think and have great dialogue about the topics that I share. So make sure we're clear on that, right? So just because I said it, that's my disclaimer, because I know my wife's out there listening. That's I want to make sure that I don't put myself in the doghouse for the subject. But thank you all very much. Appreciate you. God bless. And this is Men Speaking Out. And I'm Boz. Thank you, Allison, Melissa, and Eric. Take care.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.